Okay. Today we'll be reacting to some Xbox news by Destin. I saw it this morning. Um, about the handheld games coming to PlayStation, future acquisitions, all that. I was gonna react to the article itself and make my own video, but I had to pay $1, and I'm not doing that shit. Fuck that noise. So we'll just react to Destin and give my talking points. Let's dive right in.
Xbox just dropped some major bombshells in terms of what Xbox has planned for the future of the company. This comes via an interview with Phil Spencer and Bloomberg that just dropped this morning.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the handheld, what they're going to do with releasing games multi platform, and more.
All right. Talk to me.
So this is released right this morning, and I was very surprised to see some of these quotes. Phil Spencer talked about what games he sees going to PlayStation in the future, or if he discussed what specifically would not be coming, and has some interesting quotes there. We're going to start at the beginning, though, because right off the top, he talks about after a tough year, Microsoft Corp's video gaming chief is still looking at acquisitions and charting how to compete and partner in the markets for handheld game devices and mobile stores. That's literally the first quote in the article. And I have to
I
admit,
mean,
I'm a
shit,
little
that's a
bit
heavy one.
surprised that they're talking about acquisitions because of all the heat they got after the FTC case.
Uh, so when it comes to the damn, bro, fucking camera. I might turn that shit back on actually. But when it comes to the Activision acquisition, I think the only problem that really came with it, I think, is because it was such a big company, right? Like I think if Xbox were to acquire, let's say, like NetherRealm or someone else, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But I think it was because it was Activision, and Activision has a lot of games. Like they have Candy Crush, which they fucking make millions, if not billions, off that game a year. So Xbox has already made their investment back tenfold at this point, easily. Then they have COD, Overwatch, Diablo, World of Warcraft, StarCraft. I mean, Activision is a very, very huge company, and Microsoft, while might not be big in the gaming market, in the technology market, they are huge. You mean almost every single operating system that you mainly use is Windows, and Microsoft owns that. So I just think it was that whole reason why it was so big was because it was just Microsoft acquiring it. But because Phil Spencer did say that they're not done with acquisitions. Like if they still need to acquire, they will acquire. So I think that's pretty cool.
They're not done. I don't believe that Phil Spencer is discussing a larger acquisition like a Take Two. I know a lot of people asked who I thought on a podcast who they would
That
be
would be
purchasing
crazy though.
next, and I jokingly
Oh my
said Take
god,
Two. But
GTA
it
being an
sounds like
Xbox
it will be
exclusive
smaller in
or
scope
Xbox
next
product,
time.
be
That was still a
crazy.
surprise to hear that they're even interested in it whatsoever.
Yeah, but
On
he said he wanted
acquisitions,
to
he
do that though,
continued,
so I'm
we
not.
definitely want to be in the market. And when we can find teams and technology and capability that add to what we're trying to do in gaming at Microsoft, absolutely we will keep our heads up, Spencer said. Still, there's nothing imminent, and very large deals are probably off the table at present, as the company is spending a lot of time absorbing Activision Blizzard employees, he said. So it is nice to hear that at this moment, when they're doing a bunch of layoffs because of redundancies and such, and just an economic downturn in terms of how companies have been
Yeah,
doing the last year, they aren't looking to buy more companies because they are still figuring out how to integrate Activision Blizzard into their overall business strategy. You know, we've seen this at Microsoft with the layoffs and with the restructuring internally and some massive changes for the company as of late. And it was nice to hear
yeah,
that they're not going to do it imminently, but it was also surprising to hear that they're doing it at all. Now, one of the target areas where they are looking to grow is, believe it or not, China. You know, Black Myth Wukong coming out of China this last year and being a
yeah.
massive success alongside
That is
other
a very
games
untapped
like
market.
the gotcha games coming out of there
Is there
and just
any
seeing
uh?
wide.
Is there any like? Does PlayStation have a good foothold in Japan? Not Japan, obviously Japan. In China, do they even allow gaming consoles in China? Not trying to be funny, but like I know like their government is like highly restrictive. It's like, is there even any gaming consoles in China? Or at least I think there is, but like not a heavily dominated one. So that is an untapped market. I have to see.
Adoption by players does make China a bit of an interesting market where maybe they could grab some developers. He mentioned the
Obviously, Black
following.
Myth Wukong.
It's been a
I'm
good
I'm
area for
dumb.
us to learn from creative teams that have real unique capability, Spencer said. The real opportunity is to partner with creative teams in China for global. So they're talking about games that are going to go everywhere in the world and reach players all
Hmm.
over the place and figure out how to develop that
So like a third
strategy
party
further. Just like
Xbox Game
every
Pass
episode, I have to
exclusive,
figure out how to develop the
kind of
strategy
like
of
with
saying, hit
Stalker.
that
Okay,
subscribe button, hit that bell to know my content goes live, or hit that like button if you like this video so far.
okay,
But now we're going
I'm
to
down
get
with
to the
that.
real juicy stuff because he did basically confirm the handheld. And he also talked about some other stuff related to the handheld and what they want to do in the future. So here's what he said. The executive, who has repeatedly professed his admiration for handheld game devices, said the expectation is that we would do something in that category. Although the company is working on prototypes and considering what it might do, Spencer also asked his group to look at the market and develop its vision based on what it learns. Such a device is a few years out, he said. I mean, the fact that that's the first time he confirmed it. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I mean, but shit, yeah. So that's actually crazy. Um, the the one not necessarily problem, but the one concern I have with the Xbox handheld is that I already thought essentially like the Xbox handheld existed already with the ROG Ally or Lenovo Nintendo Switch esque handheld that it has, and I think even in some aspects of the Steam Deck, you already could play Xbox games on there with the also with the additional benefit of playing PC games on there as well. So I just don't think I'm just worried how they're going to compete with those things because the ROG Ally runs off of Windows, so you could play Game Pass games on there, PlayStation games that come to PC, and then also Steam games and whatnot. Same thing with that Lenovo, and then the Steam Deck you can play Steam games, and since Xbox releases its games on Steam, you can play those games on there as well. So the only problem I have with that, or concern rather, is what's going to stop me from buying um, an ROG Ally or another handheld over the um, Xbox handheld. Like, why should I choose the Xbox handheld over the ROG Ally? So, and also, is the handheld going to be like the PS Portal? Is it going to be an actual handheld? What are we? And hopefully the Xbox handheld, it'll be more like what the PS Vita should have been for the PS4. I think if the PS Vita came out today, especially with all that we know about handhelds and all that, especially like with the big presence of the cloud, I definitely do think that the PS Vita would have done better today than if been back when it released in 2014. Um, so hopefully that's a couple concerns. Um, there's a couple concerns I have, but I mean, Phil Spencer said it's you might say a few years, but it might actually be like way like a ways out. So it might not even be something that we can even
But the fact that he
think about
confirms a device is being
purchasing
developed
until
and is a few years
20
out is something he has only jokingly alluded to. Now we can
27,
just straight up
2030.
say,
Like,
yeah,
who the
they're
fuck
making a
knows?
handheld. We don't have to like pretend they're not anymore. I think all of us kind of realized that that was the plan all along, and Spencer just straight up confirmed it to Bloomberg. So That's nice to hear. Longer term, I love us building devices, Spencer said, and I think our team could do some real innovative work, but we want to be informed by learning and what's happening now.
That's
I
fair.
do wonder how this impacts my whole theory about them making a handheld and making the world's most powerful console ever, because I'm very excited about an Xbox handheld. I think it would be really, really cool to see what they do in that respect. And on I would have liked to see it in 2025 as sort of an answer to the PlayStation 5 Pro, but he's saying it's years out.
Yeah.
I guess they need more time to develop it, and it must be earlier on than we expected, but it's coming. And that's awesome. That is awesome to hear. I think it's a
It
definitely
is
an
great to
avenue.
hear.
Yeah, school's good.
It's really great.
Well, my roommate is Brian Cox.
You. Ouch.
You know, I think he's just
For growth where Xbox can get in sometime soon. After releasing the first batch of Xbox games for Sony Corp, PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, Spencer is pleased with the results. Microsoft will do more of that, he said. We won't rule out any game in Microsoft's stable. I do not see sort of red lines in our portfolio that say thou must not, he said. It's too early to make any sort of decision on the next version of Halo, he said. So clarifying specifically about Halo, it is nice to hear where he's saying, okay, Halo's not going to be going anywhere, at least not the next version of it in the near future.
That's cool. The problem with that though is I do think that there needs to be Xbox exclusives. There has to be exclusives that are true to the platform and nowhere else. Xbox PC, that's it. I do think that. Now, a couple games going to PlayStation, the ones that made sense, and I do think that's fair. I do think if a game makes sense to go multi-platform, it should, right? The thing is though, is that I think when you think of games, like when you think of the platform, the first games that come to mind should never go multi-platform. So when I think of PlayStation, Uncharted, God of War, Ratchet and Clank, Infamous, I would never expect those to go to Xbox. Never. And that's fine. Right? But, and like I said, that's fine. Right? So I think the same thing for Xbox. Now, Xbox doesn't have as many IPs as PlayStation does. When you think of Xbox, you think of, for sure, you think of Halo and not God of War, Gears of War. Those two should never, ever, ever go to PlayStation. Now, no, it's like the smaller indie games that Xbox made, like Hi-Fi Rush. What's that one game where like you shrink and you're like in the backyard, you gotta fight like bugs and shit? That game that made sense. Like smaller titles, yes, it shouldn't. But I don't think Avowed should go multi-platform. I don't think so. I think it should stay true to the Xbox ecosystem. South of Midnight, I don't think that should go multi-platform either. I think that should stay. But yeah, I just think like I understand what Phil Spencer is saying, but I do think I don't want him to be too liberal with what games he wants, because if he's only just seeing the bottom line and just seeing profits and all that, I don't like that. I don't think Phil Spencer's going to do that because he is a gamer, so I will trust his judgment. But I do think if you're only seeing the bottom line and you're just seeing the profits and all, because obviously if you make every game multi-platform, you're going to see a fuck ton of money. More people playing it, the more accessible you make it, the more people play it, the more people pay for it. You know what I mean? It's shit like that. I don't think every single game should go multi-platform though. I do think there has to be a line that says, okay, this is where we stop it. This is where we draw the line at, and nothing else. I want to expect PlayStation to do it, so sure shit don't expect Xbox to do it, because Xbox, in a way, is still competing with PlayStation.
There are a plethora of other exclusives that are currently in the Xbox ecosystem, and it does sound like sooner rather than later we could get confirmation that Phil Spencer is, or Xbox more specifically, is releasing Xbox games more places for players to play. I think we all saw that coming. I do think that Microsoft has very clearly said we are adjusting our exclusive strategy. I am kind of glad that he talked about Halo a little bit, because I know that has been a concern for a lot of fans, but who knows what that means for Gears of War or any of the other games that they have coming down the pipeline. We know Doom is going to be multi-platform already. We know ESO is multi-platform already.
That makes sense. Yeah,
and I
those
do wonder
make
what
sense.
that means for Elder Scrolls, because the whole FTC case was about how Elder Scrolls was going to be Xbox exclusive, and then it turns out, maybe that's not going to be the case.
But that's already an
The Xbox
established
business has never been more
IP
healthy,
that they
he said,
bought.
citing
So
growth
that
in cloud and
I
PC gaming as well as
expect.
console usage. The business is performing right now, and I think that means a more healthy future for hardware and the games we build. That was heartening to hear, because the stories out there are usually about how Xbox is not doing well or how their strategy with Game Pass isn't working. But if you look at the latest numbers, I would say the one area where they're soft is hardware. They've been very clear that hardware is just not it for them in terms of the console anyway. And they are looking to diversify their portfolio in terms of where they release stuff. However, that said, they also confirm that they are seeing massive player engagement and interaction with their games. So they're doing well. They
Call of Duty,
likely aren't going anywhere and anytime
Game
soon.
Pass, man.
And it is good to see that player engagement is way up. And actually, this Windows Central article that Jez Corden wrote the other day, he said, from what my sources tell me, Xbox's ecosystem is currently the lead platform for Call of Duty Black Ops 6 engagement, despite also seeing massive growth on PlayStation and Steam. So despite the fact that it's on those other platforms, Xbox is the #1 platform, according to Jez Corden over at Windows Central. If that's accurate, that is incredibly impressive. So Call of Duty,
and we all know why,
this huge boon on the Xbox platform, outpacing PlayStation and other platforms, likely because of the engagement, because of Xbox Game Pass, mean the strategy is working. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. This article has a lot of very interesting stuff to go over, so lots of things to think about. Let me know what you think about console exclusives in the future and the Xbox handheld being confirmed. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my content goes live. I greatly appreciate you watching. I also appreciate the members. Thank you so much to all the members who support this channel. You make videos.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, I already said my piece. Hopefully people agree with that. Like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let's discuss it. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.
I'm in the whip with authority, looking like Skybree, she got a body, ayy. And she been calling me daddy lately, want me to put her in Cartiers. And the bitch deserve it, put in work for the money she earn it. Give me top every night, lip service, never gotta block these hoes, she worth it. I'm out in Abu Dhabi, with a bad bitch, look like Skybree.